Welcome to the show, everybody. Joseph Robert, the Fantasy Football Counselor. We are continuing with the Fantasy Football Impact Series. Today, I've got a very special guest, the brand ambassador, the guy that knows the Jets better than anybody else. Ian is on the show right now. We're going to be talking about Leveon Bell's Fantasy Football Impact. Ian, do you want to introduce yourself, your handle, what made you start doing what you're doing, and then we're going to deep dive into Leveon Bell's Fantasy Football Value for 2020. Take the stage.
For sure, Joe. And first and foremost, I just want to say thanks for having me on your show. Really, really looking forward to everything that you have planned moving forward. But I pretty much run a YouTube channel called Jet Central. Cover previews before games, recaps after games, mock drafts, game picks, all that good stuff. Main reason why I started the channel was being a Jet fan from Florida. It was Miami Dolphins fans everywhere. Couldn't really get a lot of Jets content, right? National, it's hard to find it, right? It's few and far between. You can't just flip on the TV and find Jet stuff. You can't do it. So decided to create the YouTube channel to kind of connect with other Jets fans out there, pick their brains and kind of just, bounce ideas off of, right? Like, hey, what did you like in that game? Who do you think did well? Who do you think needs to go? So that was kind of the main goal behind the channel, to connect with other Jets fans. And it kind of started into something really, really cool. Now something that I'm thinking about doing long-term, as a career. So yeah, man, I know you wanted to talk about Leveon Bell and the fantasy.
Yeah, one more thing I wanted to add to yours, why I kind of came to you is because I like your organic feel. You're very real. It's not cookie-cutter information, and that's very important to my fans for a fantasy perspective, and obviously your fans as well. So, yeah, I commend you for what you do and keep it up. And, we need that inside information that I may not know, right? So that's why you're here. And again, that added value is going to be huge for a fantasy perspective. So, yeah, let's talk about Leveon Bell here. Now, prior to last year, I don't think you were following my channel. For those who are new to the channel or didn't listen to me last year, I told everybody to stay away from Leveon Bell. Now, a lot of people had this crazy idea in their head, which was insane, that he was going to perform on the same level that he did with the Steelers. Now, understand, Steelers had a better O-line. They had Antonio Brown to spread the offense, get the double coverage, open things up for Leveon Bell. Big Ben was a veteran. There's so many reasons why I knew there was a decline imminent for Leveon Bell going to the Jets. And partly a big part of that is a new team, new offense, right? He's got to adapt. He's got to do different things, right? So last year, let's just talk about his numbers here real quick, Ian. 245 attempts, 789 yards, 3.2 yards per carry, 3 touchdowns on the ground, 1 touchdown receiving, 461 receiving yards. Now, mind you, in fantasy, he did okay. Like, he was a solid, I'd say, RB2 with some upside, okay? He wasn't spectacular. From a fantasy perspective, Ian, he finished 16th in PPR, which is point perception, 16th amongst running backs. Again, not filling that first-round fantasy football value that where everybody, the mainstream, the consensus, the sheep told you draft this guy in the first round, didn't fulfill that. What are we expecting? First of all, what are your thoughts on that? Did you kind of expect the same thing for last year, that he wouldn't perform the same way he did with the Jets?
No, for sure. No, I didn't think when the Jets initially got him, and, my video is actually up on the channel and still is, when because we signed him late. It was around midnight because he released his mixtape and everything like that. And then he breaks the team that he's going to sign with. I was pumped up. And I think every Jet fan out there knew he wasn't the same back, right? It wasn't going to be the same exact production that he had in Pittsburgh. But what the Jets fans were looking forward to, what we were hopeful for, was now we were getting a guy who has been pretty much just based off of talent and resume. The Jets offense has not had a guy like that in years. Okay, right. Probably since Santonio Holmes and the Braylon Edwards days back in 2010. So the Jets fans were looking at this guy as, oh my God, we are finally getting a legitimate NFL player, right? A guy who is considered a top back. So everybody knew the talent that he was and how good of a player he can be. But I think also in the back of everybody's minds, he was like, okay, well, he is taking he just took a year off, and he doesn't have Antonio Brown. He doesn't have a Juju Smith-Schuster. He doesn't have Ben throwing to him and that stacked offensive line. Now he has to go up against Bill Belichick twice a year and the great defense in Buffalo twice a year. So everybody knew there was going to be a drop-off. for fantasy, as well as, just normal stats as well.
Right.
But I think people didn't expect that big of a drop off. Does that make sense?
Right. Right now, sorry to interrupt, but I think one of the main clues to me was, again, D'Angelo Williams, James Conner. Both those guys performed on a high level behind that O-line with the Steelers. And I figured, maybe Bell isn't as talented as people think he is. He's still talented, but I don't consider him a top 5, top 10 back anymore. I mean, I think he really was a product of the Steelers offense. And again, some people may disagree. I mean, he is talented, don't get me wrong, but I just think he's a little overrated.
Oh, it's fair to say, he's definitely not the fastest guy. He's not the biggest guy, but coming from a guy that watched like every single snap of the Jets 2019 offense.
Right. What do you see?
Leveon Bell is still our best player just from, if you're looking at all these guys on paper or just in the room, Leveon Bell is the best player. I mean, fantasy is a weird kind of paradigm thing where I feel like you have to have other contributors on offense, right? Because you have guys like Saquon Barkley and Alvin Kamara, two really, really good backs. They're not even in the top 10 of 2019. But then you have guys like Austin Eckler and Nick Chubb. Those are top 10 fantasy backs. Right. And when you start looking at the teams, it's like, okay, Austin Eckler with Keenan Allen and, guys like Mike Williams and, really good players on offense. So I'll say this. If the New York Jets were to go out and draft a CeeDee Lamb, a Jerry Jeudy, a Henry Ruggs, where pretty much just a game-breaking player where a defensive coordinator can sit there and look at the Jets offense and, is no defensive coordinator is looking at Ryan Griffin and saying, oh, my God, we have to game plan for him.
Right.
Everybody's honing in on Le'Veon. He's their only good player or their only crazy impactful player because, Jamison Crowder. But no defensive coordinator is, game planning around him. Where I feel like they are with Le'Veon Bell. So if we were to maybe get another body in the room that possesses the same explosiveness or kind of strikes fear in defensive coordinators, all of a sudden I feel like Le'Veon's numbers, might shoot up a little bit. I'm not saying they're going to skyrocket up to the front of the list, but maybe he could jump his way up to maybe spot 13, 12, or 11 this upcoming season.
Does he take a step? So you say he takes a step up this season. Now, 245 attempts. I think that put him in and around 11th in attempts amongst running back, which isn't bad. Do you see him getting more volume, or are they going to bring in another running back to complement him, or are they going to still keep working him? What are the thoughts in regards to volume, and does he take a serious step up forward this season with production?
I would say I don't think it's going to be a serious step. I don't think he's going to go from where he is now to top 5, but I do maybe see him jumping up like a couple spots, like 3 to 4 to 5 spots, because we also improved on the offensive line. By we, I mean the Jets.
Yeah.
Used to saying that. But we brought in guys like Greg Van Roten from Carolina, a solid, durable, versatile guard who can play center. We brought in Connor McGovern, a guy who started all 16 games last year for the Broncos at center. Before center, he was a guard. So everybody knows the offensive line troubles for the Jets. Jets fans out there, you know this. I don't have to tell you. Darnold got killed. And if Darnold's standing upright, if Le'Veon Bell's standing upright, the numbers are going to improve. I don't know by how much. I'm not saying that we're going to be the best team in the league or a top 5 offensive team, but I do think they'll improve slightly.
So, again, that inside information, I was just talking to another guy, I think it was Pro Football Chaser, one of the guys I've been interviewing, and he said the Jets actually did some really good offseason use. But as a fantasy biased guy, I'm seeing that you guys suck right now because Darnold didn't perform. Bell was average, and you guys have no wide receivers. That is the fantasy biased overview. But you're saying, like a chessboard, you have all these new pieces in place. So you're saying now the O-line is beefed up. We're solid now at O-line. The Jets are.
We're getting better. It's not done. And we can still go offensive line with our first-round pick. So there's still room for improvement. It will be better, but it's not a finished product.
Okay. So are you targeting the Jets? Do you think they're going to target a wide receiver with their first pick? Because I wouldn't want they need a wide receiver. What are they doing to address the wide receiver, and how early do you think they address that? I guess it's who falls, right? If they get a Ruggs or someone falling to them.
Well, I to be honest with you, I think it's based more off of the offensive, because everybody knows the core 4 offensive linemen. We got Mekhi Becton from Louisville, Andrew Thomas from Georgia. we got Tristan Wirth from Iowa, and then we got Jedrick Wills from Alabama, right? So we have those 4 guys. All 4 are like top level tackles that we've seen in the past couple seasons. Mekhi Becton's a little bit of a dark horse, kind of like a projection based off of height and speed, and he flashes on tape and whatnot. If those 4 guys are off the board, then I think it's clear that the Jets either go wide receiver, cornerback, or we trade down. And then we go wide receiver or cornerback at a lower spot. I don't see the Jets reaching for the, like a guard or the 5th best tackle at spot number 11. Just doesn't make sense from a value perspective. So I either think we're going to be going, because we also have to take a look at the teams that are picking in front of us. The Arizona Cardinals went out and they made a move for DeAndre Hopkins. That was a team that needed a wide receiver. They also have a guy, former 4th-round pick last season, Hakeem Butler out of Iowa State. Really, really tremendous. Like, he has a really high upside. He's coming back from injury. He didn't even play last season.
Right.
So do the Cardinals take a wide receiver, even though like they're the most?
No, they don't need one.
They'll probably go offensive line, their second biggest need.
Yeah.
Like another team like the New York Giants, it's like they need a wide receiver, but it's not. They're not slamming their fists on the table for a guy at spot.
Both. They don't have a receiver either.
Yeah, exactly, right. And of course, you can make arguments for other teams, like the Jaguars need one, and there are teams that definitely need offensive firepower in the top 10. But I think when it's all said and done, the Jets are going to be sitting at spot number 11 with all 4 tackles off the board, and they're going to say, "Hey, we missed out on offensive line, but now we have our choice between the top 3 wide receivers in this draft." So it's up to Joe Douglas and Gase or whoever is making these crazy decisions on who to bring in. So I think that's kind of where we stand.
Yeah, I think the Raiders, I don't know if they're picking after. I don't have the draft order in front, but I know
they're right after. They're right after.
They're gonna try to snipe a wide receiver, but they're not gonna snipe you guys. So you have a shot to get, because I think they're gonna go wide receiver. I don't know who, maybe CeeDee Lamb or Judy, or if he falls that late. They're definitely going wide. They need a wide receiver. I think the Raiders do. So, I mean, that's a lot of really good insight. Again, in regards to Leveon Bell, again, my prediction is his ADP is a lot lower. A lot of people are sleeping on him. I think he's going to be really good value, and I think he's still going to produce running back 2 numbers. He's going to be safe and solid every week with a 10 to 15 point type thing. He'll get a touchdown. Where he lacked, and maybe you can answer this question, where he lacked was the touchdowns. I think it was what we just said, 3 rushing touchdowns.
4. Is it 4 total?
No, 3. Sorry, 3 on the ground, 1 receiving. So why were they just coming back from behind a lot? Why only 3 touchdowns? Like, that's just, I mean, he's supposed to be your guy. I don't get it.
It's going to be a weird answer, but it's an honest answer because the Jets' offense sucks.
Yeah.
Whether you want to point to the offensive line, whether you want to point to people not getting open, whether you want to point to Adam Gase's play calls, which were just – if you talk to any Jet fan out there and you say, hey, what are your thoughts on the 2019 offensive play calls, they're going to just laugh. They're going to say it was horrible, right? It was absolutely god-awful. And then when Darnold does make a mistake, it's amplified because we don't have opportunities throughout the game. So is it all on the offensive line? No. Is it all on Adam Gase? No. It's combined effort from all these different variables on offense. And Le'Veon Bell, you take Le'Veon Bell with the Steelers, maybe he would have had more production, but
Right.
You give him the year off. You're saying, hey, here's a brand new team with a brand new system with worse pieces at every single position: quarterback, wide receiver, O-line, tight end. Literally every position is a downgrade from Pittsburgh. And you also play in a somewhat better division or against better defenses. That doesn't really translate into we're going to be the same or better than what we once were with Pittsburgh. Plus, you add on the 2 years in age as well.
Right.
But I do, to kind of bring this thing full circle to answer your question, I think if anything, he's going to get a little bit better. That's if I was a betting man, I would put my money on that, right? And I agree with you, running back too. I don't think he's going to be the starting running back, the stable guy that's going to be perfect for your fantasy lineup.
Well, there you have it, guys. I mean, Leveon Bell, we broke it down, got some extra insight here. Just want to end this. I want to bring you back. So I want to tease people because there's more Jets information we need, more questions to answer. Now, again, this may be biased because it's coming from you, but are you sold on Darnold being the guy? Is he the franchise guy, or is he what guy that's a little overrated coming into the Jets and he's just not going to be the franchise guy? He's just not going to be the guy to get it done. Or can he be a guy to take these guys all the way to the Super Bowl, maybe even late and deeper into the playoffs? Is he that good?
I think right now it's not the answer that you want to hear, but I think it's a little too early to tell because Darnold flashes sometimes, but at the same time, he has a lot of boneheaded plays. He has a lot of times where he's getting sacked. He throws a lot of interceptions. My honest opinion, and Jets fans might not really like this or agree with this. I feel as though Sam Darnold's going to have a similar career to a Tony Romo, not so much like with the injuries and stuff, but just a guy who's going to make spectacular plays where Tom Brady's going to look at Tony Romo and say, wow, I wish I could make that throw. But then on the flip side, the next drive, he's going to throw a pick in a triple coverage.
A lot of volatility, yeah.
And it's never – it's going to be crazy highs where he throws for 400, and then there's going to be crazy lows where it's just like, Tony Romo, what are you doing? Like, Darnold, what are you doing? Right. I mean, there was a ton of games, ton of series last season where – or last, 2019, where you're looking at the people that you're watching the game with, and you're like, oh, my God, Darnold's the answer. Like, we can go to the playoffs with some of the stuff that he's pulling off, and especially because he's only 23 years old, 22 years old. And then there's places where you're like, is this guy a college quarterback? Like, what is going on here? Why would you throw that pass? Why would you hang onto the ball and get sacked? Like, why aren't you throwing it away? So it's kind of a mixed bag, but I would have to say that he's going to do enough to stick around for 10 years. But I'm not sold on the turnovers. I feel like that's always going to be Darnold's kind of MO, like the turnovers.
His problems, yeah.
Yeah, but that's my personal opinion. I know the Jets fans are going to disagree.
Leave your comments below, guys.
Yeah. But I still like Darnold, and I think if the front office does a nice job of getting him some actual players on offense, because in Darnold's defense, he doesn't really have wide receivers.
I was going to say that. Robbie Anderson was more of a one-trick kind of pony. He was more of a kind of a deep threat guy. I wasn't seeing anything special out of him. Right,
and now he's on Carolina, and he was our best guy. So, so that's why, I made the point before of, like, targeting a Judy, targeting a CD Lamb, or a Henry Ruggs, right? A guy who the minute he signs, the minute he gets drafted by the team,
can play.
He's the best wide receiver on the squad. He's the best wide receiver that Darnold's played with in his entire NFL career.
Right. So hopefully the pieces work well for Darnold. Hopefully they help Bell. Again, I'm excited for another season of football. I'm hearing there is talk that their season will happen. This is what I heard, that they're planning it, even though all the drama in the world. Let's hope for a season. And if that's the case, the Jets look for an improvement. Again, I asked the other guys in the division. I'll end it off with this. Are you guys, I hate to say this, but are you right now the weakest link in the division? Or do you think Miami will be after the draft? Who do you think is going to be the weakest link? I think Buffalo is the favorite right now in this division.
I think definitely it's between the Jets and the Dolphins as the bottom one.
Yeah.
Because Miami did a lot to improve with free agency, Kyle Van Noy, Byron Jones. They did a lot, right? They did a lot. But as we all know, just spending money doesn't make your team better. But they also have a ton of draft picks, right? They got 3 first-rounders. Going into year 2 of the coaching staff, right? So everybody is familiar with the system. I do think, the Patriots are going to decline a little bit, not by much, because the still,
Belgium that come out and tear it up. Yeah, I mean, we don't know what to expect from this young guy.
Yeah, so I would say right now either 3 or 4, unless the Patriots just completely fall off, which I doubt is going to happen.
I doubt it. The coaching is just too good.
He's shown it in the past where, prime Tom Brady goes down. We have Matt Castle, and we still win 11 games.
Right.
He won games with Jimmy G. He won games for a game with Jacoby Brissett, but he won with Bledsoe. So the Pats will be fine.
All right, Ian, thank you for being on, man. That is a lot of insight. Make sure you guys, how do they find you for the audio listeners?
So I got a YouTube channel, just Jet Central, one word. You'll find me on there. I'm on Instagram and Twitter. Twitter, it's Jets_Central. And then on Instagram, it's official Jets Central.
Perfect. There's his I got his Instagram handle there below. Well, thanks again for being on, man. Huge episode, Leveon Bell. I'm personally staying away, but I mean, there is some RB2 upside for Leveon Bell for 2020. Ian, thanks for coming on, man. We appreciate it.
Hey, man, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Make sure you guys leave a comment below. Are you drafting Leveon Bell? And click subscribe. Thanks for being here, guys. And we're out.